What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're just taking a look at a Mew VMAX deck for the standard format of the Pokemon TCG as of December 2021. And I think this is very close to being the optimal 60 cards for Mew VMAX. This is what I am playing in tournaments, and this is what I would play if I was playing Mew VMAX in any major events. Mew VMAX, I do think, is the best deck in standard format, and I think this is very close to being the best list for the best deck. So we'll take a look at it. I'll explain my card decisions and just the cards that have made it into this optimal kind of way to build Mew VMAX. This isn't a very unique list. It's just the counts of cards and the cards that I prefer including and why I think they're correct to be in the deck. So before we get into that, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place to get PTCGO codes, and CardTrooperGames.com, where you can find sealed product and singles. Use code Celio for 5% off at both of those websites, and you can find my standard format deck lists over at PokemonCard.io. I'd also like to tell you guys that I signed with Beast Coast, an esports organization that also has many entertainment YouTube channels, and one of them is a new Beast Coast Pokemon channel that I'm a part of, so I will have a link to that in the description down below. And be sure to go over there and subscribe to that channel. Now let's talk about Mew VMAX. So Mew VMAX, I think, is undisputed to be the best deck in standard formats. And my friends Ed and Vinny actually popularized this version with the Meloettas and a heavy count of Elisa Sparkle. So let's start there. We do have two Meloetta, and Meloetta is a great single prize attacker. It's a shame that the single prize attacker is being featured in an oppressive VMAX-centric deck, but this single prize attacker with only 90 HP is doing so much work in this Mew VMAX deck. With Melodious Echo for a Psychic and a Colorless, it does 70 times each Fusion Strike energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So on turn 1 going second, you can attach a Fusion Strike from hand, and then Elisa Sparkle, choose 2 of your Fusion Strike Pokemon and search your deck for Fusion Strike energies and attach it to those Pokemon. 2 more Fusion Strike energies onto the board to do a total of 210 with Melodious Echo as soon as turn 1 going second. And that's before using any power tablets to power up that Melodious Echo. Of course, we have 4 Genesect V in the deck, and then a 4-3 line of Mew VMAX. Mew VMAX has the Cross Fusion attack. Choose one of your benched Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So this can even copy Melodious Echo. If it's better to have Mew VMAX in the active than it is to have Meloetta, so Mew VMAX can take a hit and Meloetta doesn't go down in one shot, you can copy that Melodious Echo with Cross Fusion Strike. Cross Fusion Strike will also commonly be copying Technoblast to do 210, but then during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. You can also copy Energy Mix, but I rarely see that as an optimal play, and sometimes copying Psychic Leap will be the optimal play, especially against a spread deck like Jolteon VMAX. You can go ahead and Psychic Leap to heal your Mew VMAX, essentially shuffle it back into the deck, and then next turn take a knockout with Cross Fusion Strike to copy Technoblast or Melodious Echo, plus a couple of power tablets. Now let's talk about some of the item cards. 4 Cramomatic has been a card that I wanted in my Mew VMAX deck ever since the beginning, and it's still in here for me, and I've been seeing a lot of people still playing Cramomatic because coin flip cards are uniquely very good in Mew VMAX since Genesect draws up to the amount of Fusion Strike Pokemon you have on board. So if you have 6 Pokemon on board, they're all Fusion Strike. Genesect allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Cramomatic is a coin flip card. You have to play this and discard another item, and then on a coin flip, you get to search for any card. What's great about this in the Mew VMAX Genesect deck is even if you flip tails, you are still lowering your hand size so you can then draw more cards with Genesect V. And if you flip heads, you could search for any cards you want, and that's even better. Rodham Phone is another card kind of like this. We get to look at the top 5 cards of our deck and choose one of them and put it on top. So we're automatically lowering our hand size by 1 just by playing that Rodham Phone down. And then we get to set our top deck that we know we're drawing at least 1 card with Genesect V since we played down that Rodham Phone. So we're guaranteeing ourselves at least 1 card that we want out of those top 5 cards. Battle VIP Pass, you can only use it on your first turn, and you get to search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, so that's really great. I am only playing 3 Battle VIP Pass, though, because I see this as a card that you fill your deck out with when you have everything else you want in the deck already, and that 4th VIP Pass, I think, was in place of the 4th switching card that I wanted. because I really do want Force Switch for a couple of reasons. And I also want to note that this fourth switch can be an escape rope. Since escape rope also switches your Pokemon, you can just do this and have 3 switch 1 rope. But I just have it as the 4 count of switch as a default. But the 1 rope is good sometimes, especially when you could just search it out with Cramomatic or pseudo search it out with Rodham Phone when you want it. That 1 escape rope is good and can be in place of the 4th switch. So the 4 switches, because when you cross Fusion Strike to copy Technoblast, you have to switch next turn. You have to retreat and switch back into Mew if you're using the same Mew to attack again. Also, early game, your switches get burnt when you need to draw cards with Genesect, and you're just playing switches to play them so you can lower your hand size and draw more cards. Sometimes you're discarding them with Cramomatic, etc. And then there are decks like Rapid Strike Urshifu and Jolteon VMAX, which might try to get something of yours in the active, and also especially any kind of deck trying to use Galar Mine. But it's specifically in the meta right now, it's Jolteon VMAX and Rapid Strike Urshifu that want to spread damage. So Rapid Strike might rope, and then you send up something from your bench like a Genesect or a Meloetta, and then next turn you need to get that out of the active. However, we have Jolteon VMAX, which is playing multiple boss and sometimes cross switcher to try to purposely get the Genesect V stuck in the active so it can have multiple turns to spread damage. And an extra switch is going to help a lot against that, but also just switches are great to have in this deck because it's a card you can burn out of your hand when it's in there and you need to draw other cards, but it's also there to switch into the Mew VMAX or switch out of it so you can use Technoblast again, or if you use Technoblast last turn, even this turn you want to use Melodious Echo. So I think the switches are a good card to have extras of because you can always play them down, unlike Battle VI Pass, which you can't always play out of your hand. Now, I am playing 3 stadiums, and I did choose these stadiums specifically. I think Old Cemetery is absolutely abysmal in the deck. I never get any value out of it at all, where Crystal Cave is actually good in the deck because it helps against Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX and Jolteon VMAX when they're spreading damage, trying to set up knockouts on your Genesects. The Crystal Cave actually does help quite frequently against those popular meta decks. Training Court is great to just get back a Psychic Energy when you need it, and Rose Tower can sometimes draw you an extra card, but playing 1/1/1 of the stadiums means you can bump your own stadium to empty it out of your hand, and not playing 4 stadiums because then sometimes your hand just can get clogged up with stadiums that you can't all play down. I also wanted to mention, I think Joe from Omnipoke was the first person I heard publicly talk about playing one of each different stadium so that you can replace them with each other and not get them stuck in your hand. So I think he was definitely right about that. We're playing Vitality Band so that Technoblast can do 220, and then you can use 3 power tablets to knock out an opposing Mew VMAX, as opposed to having to use all 4 to knock them out with Technoblast. For my supporters, I'm playing 3 Boss's Orders and 3 Elisa's Sparkle. I've switched this from 4 Boss and 2 Elisa because that turn 1 going second Elisa's Sparkle is just ridiculously strong, and even on other turns it's very, very strong as well. And I do like Boss's Orders in the deck a lot, but I didn't want to play 7 supporters because, again, that extra supporter card is a card that can get stuck in your hand. You can't discard it with Cramomatic. You can't play more than 1 supporter a turn. There's no other way to get them out of your hand unless you have quick balls to discard them. So I am just playing the 6 supporters, 3 Boss's Orders and 3 Elisa Sparkle. I also considered in place of that 4th switch, or in place of the 4th Battle Pass, or in place of the 3rd Battle Pass even, could be a Pokegear, just 1 Pokegear that lets you try to dig for the supporter that you want. And I'm not opposed to that idea at all. I'm just kind of set on the 4 switches right now myself. But I guess we will see if they prove to be, the 4 switch count proves to be the way to play the deck. Lastly, we don't play any Evolution Incense in here because Evolution Incense can only get Mew VMAX, and you can just draw into Mew VMAX most of the time, or even Great Ball for it, or Cramomatic for it, or Rodham Phono to the top of your deck. So we play Great Ball because that can also get Meloetta and Genesect V. And that is going to be the end of my Mew VMAX deck profile. I think this is the way to play the deck, and this deck is so very good. So if you have the cards for it, take it for the spin. It is the best deck in the format, but there are plenty of other decks that can beat it. especially dark type decks like the Hoopa Moltres deck and Gengar VMAX, and then Jolteon VMAX is even starting to have maybe a slightly favored matchup against it in the way that people are building their Jolteon VMAX decks. So that is my Mew VMAX deck list for the standard format. You could find this on PokemonCard.io. Be sure to check out PotownStore.com for all of your PTCGO needs and CardTrooperGames.com for physical cards. Also, subscribe to the new Beast Coast Pokemon channel that I mentioned, and subscribe to this channel as well for Pokemon TCG content. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.